We read about the Lord's Supper in Matthew, Mark, and Luke. And my reference is Luke chapter 22, verses 7 through 20. Now what happened here was that Jesus was taking his disciples into an upstairs private room to enjoy with them and to celebrate them the Passover meal. Now his death was very soon approaching. And he knew something that the disciples at that time didn't know, but we know it today. So some churches even, and some down through history, it has been called the Last Supper. But when the disciples went to share this meal with Jesus, they had no idea it was going to be the Last Supper. I guess to them it was a communion time, a time when they were going to get to be with Jesus and share some time with him. And it's still, in many churches today, it's called the communion service. So what is the Lord's Supper? What is the Last Supper? What is the communion? It is today what it was then. The Lord's Supper is a very personal time. It is a time when Jesus' closest friends get to be with him. The Lord's Supper is a meal that Jesus shares with you and I. The Lord's Supper is a reminder of what God brings to the table, his one and only Son. And therefore, the Lord's Supper is the most expensive meal that you will ever eat. So the obvious question is, what can you and I bring to the table? Well, we must bring God the gift of our faith as we surrender to him. I remember a word that used to be very common in the church. I used to hear it a lot about 45 years ago when I was a teenager growing up in the church anyway. And I remember in our church, people would talk about victory. Do you have the victory? Are you living the victory? And that was always like a thermometer of how you were doing in your Christian life. And I remember on Sunday nights when we get together, in those days often the people out in the congregation would get to pick the songs. And almost never would a Sunday night go by but what somebody wouldn't ask for song number 246, and we would sing it, Victory in Jesus. Victory in Jesus is still important today. You win. You have victory in Jesus. You have victory in your Christian life and in your Christian experience when you surrender your life to God. The Last Supper, the Lord's Supper, the communion reminds us of this. God bless you, my friend.